track, getting hit multiple times. Coming out of that bike section, more drivers coming to blows.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Slow Motion Broadcasting and welcome to the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez for the SRG F4 League. Named after Mexican racing legends Ricardo Rodriguez and Pedro Rodriguez, this circuit has been delivering unforgettable moments for generations. Set more than 7,000 feet above sea level, Mexico City presents a challenge unlike any other. The thin air affects engines, aerodynamics, braking, tire performance, forcing teams and drivers to adapt to conditions found nowhere else on the calendar. I am joined by producer Josh Wilkie in the truck and in the booth with the legend, Racing Ron Maunz. Ron, how long can you broadcast at this altitude before we have to get you an oxygen cocktail?
It is going to be a fun one. I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm starting to black out. But now, I really adore this place. It was a track that I kind of fell in love with to start off with on F1 2016, of all places. Only came out on iRacing a couple of seasons ago, corresponding with the release of the NASCAR video game. However, I think this track has its own little unique flair. It's been around the block before, and although many of the changes that have been made to this track were done to bring F1 back in 2015, it shocks me to say that F1 has been racing here again for about a decade. It feels almost just like yesterday when F1 returned to this wonderful facility. It's got character, it's got flow, it's got a really unique feel, and it's another challenge for these drivers at the start of this very intriguing calendar.
Absolutely. There's a lot to talk about with this particular circuit. You are right that there has been a number of different changes. The most recent layout of this course really has only been in existence since 2015. Ron, let's have you take a walk through Mexico City if you think you can here.
Yes, absolutely. Let's see who is right by the line, right towards the end of the racetrack. I'm thinking right now we may do it on board with Kalen Mikowitz, who's heading his way through the final couple of turns right now in the number 39 machine, currently qualified 10th at the moment here in this qualifying session. We'll pull up here in a couple of moments' time. It's a very busy and hectic racetrack. It certainly packs a punch in more ways than one, but it is one heck of a ride in the world of motorsports. So I'll talk you through the layouts, tell you everything you need to know about this place here in the not too distant future. Unable to get that on board with Kalen Mikowitz, so we'll try and maybe Damian Dietrich, our current pole sitter. He's heading his way off through the final sector right about now. Yeah, there's a good time to ride on board with the German in the 444 machine. Certainly going to be a force to be reckoned with here, as already showing some fantastic pace. Very early doors here in this qualifying session, he says, as they get towards the halfway mark. With an awesome draft as he heads his way around the final turn number 17, and comes across the stripe. Let's start the lap here with Damian Dietrich heading down this long, seemingly never-ending start-finish straightaway down into the heaviest braking zone of the track of turn number 1. Speeds are going to be high. The air is thin around. We're over a mile up into the air above sea level, so speeds are going to be incredible as we head our way in through the first section right now. This first chicane area has been a source of multiple bits of trouble throughout the years in real life, and certainly in the sim. Things can go awry. If you can't get through there clean at the start of this race, you are going to be in for a world of trouble. Now down into another chicane right at the start of this lap. It's 4 and 5. This is where things start to get a little bit fiddly. This section, always a part of this racetrack that I can never really nail down. It was one of the modifications that was made to this track when F1 returned back in 2015, and it's one that was actually bypassed by NASCAR when they ran here last summer. Now all through the S's have remained a bit of a new classic here of this track through 7, 8, 9, all through 9 and 10 right about now. This is where things get really hectic. That final part there of 10 and 11 really just throws you for a loop. It's almost like a left hook to the jaw as you head your way in there. Now all through probably the most iconic centerpiece of this racetrack, it is the stadium section, the Foro del Sol, all through turn number 12 into 13, 14, and 15 right now. This stadium section, despite being one that only really became a permanent fixture of this track during the refurbishment back in 2015, had actually been used by Champ Car as of the early 2000s. So it's a really odd racetrack, this. Some fantastic history in it, and a real wonderful ride for these drivers to try and tackle. That right there was a lap of Damian Dietrich. A 1:45.0 is his current pole time, nearly a half a second from the rest of the field. And look at that, we've actually got ourselves a tie for second.
Yeah, I mean, it's not too often that you see something come down to not the tenths, not the hundredths, but the thousandths. And Christopher Yee and Jacob Guyton, both leading contenders for a championship run this season, are looking at a tie for second place. I'm not entirely sure how they sort out who got the second place on that one, but apparently it kind of moves around a little bit here. Some of the notes that you made in there with your lap, by the way, that is a fantastic lap by Damian Dietrich, who is currently our pole sitter. The final turn on that is called the Peraltada, I believe, is the name. The pronunciation almost certainly incorrect, but that one is a little bit of the Parabolica from Maunz. It is an incredibly high-speed turn, and it's banked a little bit so that you can get going even faster. Ron, I got a trivia question for you here, though. Are you ready for this one?
Let's hear it.
All right, so the trivia is, who holds the track record for a Formula One race car at the Autodroma Hermanos Rodriguez?
Ooh, alrighty. So I'm going to say it came pretty recently during the ground effect era. I'm going to probably say...
I'll give you a hint. It's 2015 to now because of the current layout. So you
2015
got,
to now for the current
yeah,
layout,
you got like
yeah.
11-ish years of Formula One here to pick from.
Yeah, so between, 2015 and 16, before they brought out the more wider cars, 17, 18, and 19 would have been a good shot if we ran here in 2020 and 2021. That would have certainly held the record during that just stunning era of Formula One speed. I'm going to say the lap record, though, was set pretty recently in the kind of early to mid 2020s. I'm going to say it was a Max Verstappen pole time.
Well, I'll tell you this. I'm impressed with your knowledge, and you got the year pretty much dead on. It was 2021. Mexico City, and it was a Mercedes car by Valtteri Bottas.
Oh, they ran here in 21. How about that?
Yes, they did. And you're right. That era was just incredible speeds. He put up a 1:17.774. Right now, we've got Damian Dietrich. Jose Navas Molina has decided to enter the chat. By the way, I am monitoring the YouTube chat here tonight. It looks like Dan Stasinski is in there. I assume that is not the Stasinski Brian that is currently racing around the track, but part of his pit team, I'm sure. And it looks like Jose has decided that he wants to take part in this. Jose coming off of a fabulous race in our previous iteration here, the first round in Miami. So hopefully Jose can put up some pretty decent points here and continue his run.
Yeah, and Jose Navas, of course, a veteran here in this championship, looking for a good run of form here in this season as we see Brian Stasinski explore some of the runoff area heading down to the turn number 4 and 5 section. I was just going to say Dan Stasinski is actually Brian's brother, so it's a whole lineage of the Stasinskis, the newest generation, just being born over the past couple of years. Their dad, Bill, a longtime Formula V racer, and the Formula V's run through the family with Dan and Brian being Formula V weekend warriors racers in their own right, and Brian having run in last year's SCCA National Championship runoffs in a Formula V. So nice to see Brian out here on the racetrack, and Dan in the YouTube chat. I assume that he is not on baby duty, even there in the Midwest. I assume it's about, 9:32? Probably the latest we've ever seen Dan in the YouTube chat, so how about them apples? Working the late shift like we are here on SMB.
There you go. We're on board with Pranay Ketaneni, and Pranay with that lovely orange livery. A lot of the liveries have been the point of pride for the sim racers group, I'd have to say. When we get a chance here after this qualifying, which is very brief, a 15-minute qualifying is over, we're gonna throw it out to our friend producer Josh Wilkie in the pits here for some commentary about the transition from last week to this week. But it looks like Damian Dietrich has put up a pretty solid time, 0.3 faster than everybody else. Henry Ryback now is up there in third place, and Jason Chess has flipped the script a little bit. So Navas Molina, Yee, and Guyton have all been pushed back. Stasinski now all the way back to 7th. Our broadcasting friend J.R. Gregory in 8th right now. Then we have Matthew Hunter, a newcomer, Bob Eggert, a longtime veteran of SRG. Keneni, Glasser, Park, Hagen, and E-Step are pulling out the top 15. There is Molina in the classic purple of his livery. Do we think we can see another fantastic race out of Molina tonight?
I think we could. Right now, putting together an okay qualifying lap, was purple in Sector 1, saying the fastest first sector out of anybody so far here. not doing too great in the mid sector, but as he heads his way out of the stadium through the final turn right now, this could be a good lap from Jose to maybe jump himself up into a spot higher than fourth, maybe even onto the front row as he heads his way across the stripe. We will not see an improvement in lap time there from Jose Navas, but certainly gave it the old college try there on that lap. I think the mid sector just came back to bite him on the hind end, but I think Jose may be able to put together a good race here. It is going to be incredibly competitive unless there is a major crash, which, considering we did see some shenanigans last time out of Miami, I'm not going to rule out completely. But if we don't see something like that, this field is going to be packed in like sardines. The draft is going to be so insane, especially with that massively long start-finish straightaway. Things may get a little bit wild here in this race. It's Jacob Guyton jumping up to second there in the dying breaths of this session.
Look at that. Guyton with a fantastic run at the end there. There's just a couple more cars on the track here. Ketneni is yellows. Ryback has pulled off a high for him in the first sector. It looks like he's yellow in the second. JR Gregory's 2 yellows. Probably won't see an improvement there. We're about to set the grid here, and it looks like these guys are probably going to be about where they were, but Jacob Guyton managed to just squeak ahead of Chess by 100th there. Still 200ths behind Damian Dietrich, who pulled off a 145 flat, which is not nothing to sneeze at there for this particular league. Jacob Guyton's going to be very, very happy, though, with this performance. He is going to be starting on the front row, and that is exactly what he wants. So, once Ketneni, for some reason, drags himself over the grid line. I'm not entirely sure what's going on. He's got a black flag now. He's not going to be improving, and that's going to be it, folks. That will set our grid here. So it looks like in the front row, we are going to have Damian Dietrich and Jacob Guyton here. And as Josh Wilkie brings up the graphic for the grid, we will take a look at that. Mexico City. This front straight is going to be a banger, but Ron, I have heard that because of the altitude, you might not get the draft that you're really looking for.
Yeah, that is a good point. You know, when I said that this was going to be a draft fest, it's going to be a straight line fest. Draft fest, though, maybe not the case. The air is thin, so the cars go straight, but the air is thin, so they don't really punch that much hole. Let me try that one again. They don't really punch that big of a hole in the air in front of you. It's going to be real interesting to see how this goes. You know, the racing that I have covered in the past here at Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez has been with, you know, bigger race cars. NASCAR machinery, some Porsche Cup races I've covered in the past. It's going to be a bit of a venture off in the unknown. I know it's going to be competitive, but let's see if the draft may come around or whether it's going to be a bit more spread out.
Absolutely. Let's look at the grid here. Dietrich and Guyton in your front row. Chess and Ryback in the second. Navas Molina coming off that win, I believe, the win at Miami. Is that right? And then Yi next to him. That's correct. Stasinski there was pushed back to 7th place with JR Gregory moving his way up to 8th. Hunter and Eggert are in the next one, and Ketneni and Glasser are 11 and 12. Filling out the last 2 rows there, we have Hagen and Park and Estep and Michael Wynn. I have the benefit of having an experienced producer here, Josh Wilkie, in the truck here. And Josh, you've managed to talk with some of the racers about a difficult race last week. And before we get the lights here, what's the mindset going into a week like this for an SRG league?
Yeah, thanks for having me in, guys. I think, after something like last week, you're really looking to just kind of tiptoe around this first lap here and make sure you get this start right. And like we were talking in the run-up a bit, it's been awesome to see these drivers over the course of SRG and over the course of the seasons here be able to pick up and get much more respectful around each other and the driving standards and embracing the race, as we like to say around here. So I'm expecting, last week they're going to dust that off, and we're going to have a much better one this week here with a bunch of drivers that respect each other a bunch. But we got to start going here, boys.
Here we go. We are green light here in Mexico City, and it looks like Dietrich's off to a great start. Dietrich pulls ahead. Guyton has got problems with Chess. Guyton and Chess look like they're going to go side by side into the first corner here, and Chess has got the inside on Guyton, but the draft is heavy on the outside here. Will what? Chess looks like he's got a great run on this thing, and Guyton, in fact, does move back. Oh, there's Novice Molina right behind him, and it is a furious start here, Ron, but it looks to be very, very clean. This is exactly what SRG was looking for.
Yeah, it may be frantic and furious, but it is smooth and steady as they head their way out of the first complex through into the second sector right about now. Dream start there for Damian Dietrich, looking to drive away there in the 444 machine. Jason Chess looking for a smoother run here in this race. Some locking up as they head their way off through the 4 and 5. Chicane and contact. Szynski gets punted out of the way by Matthew Hunter as they all stack up right behind. We spoke too soon. Kalen Michaelwitz also involved in that.
Nope, that's Ketneni. Kalen Michaelwitz is an F3 this season. That is, in fact, Ketneni in the orange there. And yeah, there was some disaster there. It looks like E-Step is past Szynski. It looks like Michael Wynn managed to get ahead of Ketneni. Ryback went off track and managed to come back. But right now the order is Dietrich, Chess. Pardon me, Dietrich. Oh man, Dietrich, Guyton and Chess are just neck and neck here. Guyton's got the inside and he's gonna pull off a pass right there. And it looks like he's trying to close the door on him. Will he do it around the last corner here? The Peraltada, it is going to be Guyton that is gonna enter the long straight here, but Chess is right behind him. The gap is less than 3/10, and so Chess will pull him in here. You're gonna watch Chess make a move here, Ron.
Yeah, so there's going to be fun as they head their way down the start-finish straightaway. Side note, Mr. Wilkie, we've been hypothesizing about this for years, ever since the old Apex days. I think I've finally figured out what the difference is when I have the live timing software without the updated project file. Kalen Michaelwitz's name is there over Brad Ketneni's on mine. So I apologize there. Unfortunate for Ketneni. Good move there as drivers looking to swap spots, heading down at the end of that start finish straightaway into 1, 2, and 3, down through 4, 5, and 6. Riding on board with Jose Navas down this straightaway into the braking zone right now. Not able to get the move done, but certainly feeling pressure all around him. He's got two drivers battling it out right up in front of him. Two drivers looking to battle with him right behind. He's in the middle of a sandwich right now as they head their way off through turn number 6. That double apex, really tough to nail down right-hander Navas in a very unfamiliar position than what he was last week, where it was up and down the field like Otis Elevator. Right now, steady in fourth, but looking for that same sort of result that he was in at the end of last week's race when he scored the W.
Oh, Ryback with contact. Ryback takes out Novice Molina. Novice Molina got tapped in the corner and he is out right now. He is patiently waiting for the rest of the field to go by. This is disaster for Novice Molina. We're gonna see this. Look at Ryback right behind him here. Comes hard out of that corner and taps him, and that's it. Ryback goes to the outside and Novice Molina gets absolutely the worst case of this. This is on board with Ryback and you can see it. Ooh, man. I mean, it didn't look like netcode to me. It looked like there was contact there. Definitely on Ryback there. Novice Molina was not the one at fault there. What we're seeing here with Guyton and Chess, though, Ron, I think we're going to see this. Oh, we had a little wheel-to-wheel right there. What we're going to see all race long is going to be a car that is within a few tenths entering this straight, and if they get on the inside, which is very likely, I think that they end up taking position just like this. That first chicane there ends up with a very advantageous spot for the person on the inside.
Oh, it absolutely does. You're swapping sides like you're flipping burgers as you head your way through that part of the racetrack. But if you could just keep a presence, get in your competitor's head a little bit, you could be golden, as Jacob Guyton thought about going for it on Jason Chess, hang down to 4 and 5. Gonna fight back down to the inside as he heads his way through turn number 6. Still keeping the wheel down the inside on corner exit. Finally, Jason Chess pulls out in front of Guyton. Now Guyton under pressure from Henry Ryback. I was just going to say about that incident we saw one lap ago involving Jose Navas. The problem with the turn 10 and 11 section that these drivers are coming up to right about now, there is no good line through there. There is only the least terrible. It is so awkward and uncomfortable, even in these, low-powered F4 cars. One small little trip up through there, you want to keep the momentum rolling at all times. You're not really tempted to lift out the gas. One small small little trip up, you miss an apex by a couple of inches, and you are in for a world of hurt. So unfortunately, I think that may have played a factor in all of that as we take a look to see the incident involving Brian Szynski and Matthew Hunter at the start. There it is, a contact as they stacked up into 6.
Yeah, that was just unfortunate. I'm not real sure exactly what happened there, if it was a missed break or what, but everybody was just right on top of each other, and everybody was pushing on cold tires, and sometimes that happens. We're not talking about a repeat of Miami from last week. The racing has actually been fairly clean with the exception of a couple incidents, but man, if you're on the receiving end of an incident like Navis Molina was, that is your whole day right there, because he is unfortunately now all the way back to 12th. Let's take a look at some of the midfield here. We have Bob Eggert in the 25 machine that is up 3 positions. Ryback in the 111 is exactly where he started in 4th. But some of these racers back there, we've got Ken Glasser. He's up 3 positions. We've got Robin Park. Guyton we're on board with right here, following that in the leaders here. But Josh, when you get a chance, let's take a peek at some of the midfield here and some of the people there. It's always good to give them a little bit of a shout out. They work hard every week just as well. Unfortunately, it's a little harder to get some of the podiums. There's Pranay Ketneni in the 10th position there in the 39 orange machine. It looks like Ketneni it was following here. I'm not entirely sure who that was ahead of him there. Was that Robin Park? That was Robin Park there. So Ketneni trying to work his way back into the field after that unfortunate incident. You know, Ron, it does highlight something, though. Some of these track limits, especially around the midfield there, the middle part of the course before you get into the chicane by the stadium, those track limits are crazy. They are incredibly wide.
You know, here around this track, there are some slightly forgiven shoulders that these drivers can lean on just a little bit. I think the main worry that you've got with some of the track limits, especially as you head your way into that stadium section, as we saw put on full display of Ken Estep there, is the curbs. The curbs, doesn't matter how low they are, these F4 cars will not be a fan of them, as a little bit of contact between Jacob Guyton and Jason Chess. That was all through the opening chicane. It was side pod to wheel, thankfully not wheel to wheel. Otherwise, we would have seen a car get airborne. Just to wrap up on the point, all the curbs around here are deadly. So not only are the track limits a bit of a worry because sometimes they can come out and bite you, those curbs can be absolutely lethal here in these F4s. Actually received a worry about tomorrow's F3 broadcast here on SMP with a similar issue. As there you can see, Jason Chess sliding off into the side of Jacob Guyton's number 64 car, giving him a race car high five. Apart from the fact that it's not in celebration, I would say that in real life that probably costs a couple of $1,000s to repair.
Yeah, and here we come into the 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 section here. This is the section that I was referring to with some of these off-track limits here being very wide. The green to the right there is nuts. This little straight here, though, does provide a passing opportunity with a bit of a dive at the end of it, but it doesn't look like anyone was close / brave enough to try to pull that off here. You've got a number of cars that are just can't get away from each other due to this draft. We're looking at the 41 there of Ken Glasser. There's Ketneni, and then behind Ketneni still Navis Molina. But you look at the leader of this thing, and we haven't mentioned his name because it's not worth talking about. Damian Dietrich has walked away with this thing. He's got a 7-second lead because of all the fighting between Guyton and Chess. Like, Dietrich has done nothing interesting other than put up great lap times and continue not to have to worry about anything but fresh air.
Bing, he's gone. He's just checked out. He's gone into a different zip code, different dimension. Dietrich able to put on an amazing drive. Jason Chesto going to be under real pressure. You see that yellow flag next to his name? Guess what? He picked up a slowdown. He's not lifting quite yet, though, in the draft of Henry Ryback as they head their way down into turn number 4, looking for it down the inside through the chicane. He's going to get that spot, but if he doesn't serve that slowdown very, very soon, he's going to pick up a penalty. I'm not sure if he knows he has a slowdown, that or he's trying to serve it at the last possible minute.
There he goes.
It's a little bit wide as he has his way through the turn, and that got it cleared very quickly. So smart driving there from Chess.
Yeah, that's always one of the debatable things here. Whoa, they are side by side. I spoke too soon here. Chess and Ryback are really, really close going through these S's. And this is a section that, I mean, even in an F4 can cook your tires pretty quickly if you're not careful. You know, the person behind Jason Chess here is Christopher Yee, one of my favorite drivers here that is just quiet, methodical, and picks up places when you make mistakes. Christopher Yee didn't have a fantastic qualifying time here, but is very, very dangerous in 5th position. So you watch, if one of these guys ahead of Yee makes a couple mistakes, you're going to see Yee on a podium again here. Here we go into this straight here. It looks like Yee is going to be right behind Chess and probably pick up enough of a draft to at least make his life a little bit interesting coming into the front there. They are separated by how much here? It looks like less than a second, 0.7, 0.8. That's not going to be a ton, but it might work up. Where is Jacob Guyton? Jacob Guyton is now 2.7 seconds ahead of Henry Ryback. Ron, Jacob might be one of those drivers that just walks away, and you see a big gap between 1st, 2nd, and 3rd.
You know, in an odd way, this almost reminds me of the first ever Formula V broadcast that we had for the Weekend Warriors here on Slow Motion Broadcasting way back in the June of 2024. Yeah, it's actually coming up to nearly 2 years ago to the day. It was my first ever broadcast here on SMB with our old Weekend Warriors pal, Mr. Tim Cox. And despite those Formula Vs being insane drafters, we ended up seeing the race winner completely check out as drivers were too caught up in each other's hair behind. It was Megan Overstreet who grabbed the W in that race, won by one of the biggest Formula V margins I have ever seen. In the, years that have gone by after that, there's been only a few times where I've covered a Formula V race where a gap like that has grown out to be the same. We're kind of seeing something similar here where if you're caught up in the draft, if you're caught up in somebody else's mess, you're just going to be stuck with them. It's sort of like I don't know, like a communal mousetrap in a way. Everybody's just stuck in together in the same little bucket, and if you can get out of the bucket, you're going to run away. Your top two really starting to run away right now, although the pack behind is starting to split. We are seeing margins north of a half a second for the first time in quite some time here in this race. But Damian Dietrich, he's gone. Jacob Guyton, latest racer to drop out of that. Just in this little, blib blab of mine, that gap has now grown out to be 3.2 seconds between Jacob Guyton in 2nd and Henry Ryback holding on to the final podium spot in 3rd.
Yeah, things are starting to really separate here. You look at that timing tower and you see the orange times within a half a second, and everything's pretty yellow all the way up to about 7th place. We're on board here with Bob Eggert, who doesn't get a lot of press, but Bob has been around for a long time, and Bob always comes out to play. So it would be good to see Eggert have a top 10 finish here. Stasinski probably doesn't agree with that. Stasinski is behind him by a couple seconds, but we'll be looking to push his way back. J.R. Gregory with a great-looking livery right in front of him, but Eggert is hounding him pretty well here. J.R. Gregory with a fantastic... Look at that car. Holy cow. What Flying Lion Racing with the chrome and the rainbow, and there's a whole lot going on there, and you got a picture of JR with the cowboy hat on. I believe that's his league, the Flying Lion Racing there. Is that correct there, Josh? All right, that is in fact his team. Man, that would be one of the highlight liveries for the day, I would have to say. It looks like we're about 14 minutes into a 20-minute race here. I don't know if this is necessarily the SMB trademarked tire witching hour. It's not quite as prevalent in the F4s as it is in the F3s, but you do have the opportunity to give yourself a tough time if you have been burning those tires. And, those battles between Chess and Guyton can certainly do that. There's enough separation now, Ron, that we're really not seeing the side-by-sides into turn 1 all the time like we used to.
That is an interesting point, bringing up the tire wear here around this place, because despite the fact this race is 20 minutes long, these F4s are being put to the test. Talking about the potency of this racetrack, how concentrated it is with turns, despite that start-finish straightaway and the straightaway after. You take those two away, I think the longest flat out blast between any turns would probably be between the 11 and 10 and 11 section, and then the start of the stadium section in turn 12. It is a very twisty racetrack. There's 17 turns packed into a layout of about 2 2/3 of a mile long. So with the downforce being low and a lot of turns out there, you do have to worry about those tires after a low bit. Doubly so with track temperatures currently tracking to be around 91 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 91 degrees with fairly cloudy skies at the moment. I feel like a weatherman I feel like a weatherman right now. High 91, chance of rain. iRacing does not tell me that. 0%.
0%, which is somewhat unlike the SRG leagues of past. Fun fact about SRG, they had to make some... Oh, no, there's Hagen doing his best show for the cameras there. Unfortunately, got a little sideways on that one. SRG has had a history with rain where the term unlikely meant guaranteed for about 4 races in a row, and the racers pretty much had a minor mutiny and said no more rain, except for maybe a couple people. Ryan Chia, I believe, was one of the rain gods that just loved it. But you won't see rain except for you won't see rain except for a couple times this season, and you won't see it here today. It is hot and cooking, and everybody is pretty much a white interval right now, and so that means that there's some definite gap between the racers. Our leaderboard looks like Damian Dietrich has already finished and gone home and is having a sandwich on a futon somewhere. Jacob Guyton is in second place with an interval about 2.5 seconds, which has actually come down a little bit. So we'll see whether or not Dietrich has taken a bit of a foot off the gas for the last few minutes here. I don't know if that's necessarily wise this early. Ryback in third, Jason Chess in fourth, and Yi right behind him for fifth. Now, the race right now is between Chess and Yi, honestly, and then Ryback right in front of him if Chess can catch Ryback. So there is still some racing going on here. It's going to be close. I was expecting Yi actually to pull in Chess a little bit earlier because I kind of thought that Chess might be using those tires up a little bit more, and it looked a little bit more erratic than Yi, but I don't think Yi has the pace to pull in Chess right now.
Yeah, no, it does not seem like the case. Yeah, the gaps are pretty stagnant at the moment between those racers. 1.4 seconds. He would need a bit of external pressure and an extra push to really close up that margin. But considering J.R. Greger is nearly 4 seconds back, I'm not sure if that push will come. In the meantime, we look at this fight that's going to get hot. It's Matthew Hunter in the 11 car looking to jump away from 11th up into 10th. Gets a run on Ken Glasser, heading his way out of the S's into turn number 12. Sweeps around the outside through the braking zone. Oh, Tony Hawk Pro Skater maneuver there on the curb on the exit. Still going to hold on to it, though. Nice move there for Matthew Hunter, the newcomer, to jump his way up into the top 10. I was just going to say as well, Bob Eggert has dropped out of this race, but not seeing any sort of crash for him. I think he just decided to pull over to the side of the road and call it a day as we take a look at this move from Hunter.
Yeah, Hunter's going to experience what you were talking about those deadly curbs. You're going to watch his car get high-sided here on the curb coming around. He gets on it, and he is rail sliding. That is not great. Fortunately for him, he already had the inside line. It looked like Glasser, I believe, just kind of let that one go rather than risk a skateboarding car incident, which is probably on the wise side. If you can stay close to him here, he's going to have a great run down this mini straight here. Like you said earlier, there's not a ton of opportunities there. Oh, it looks like Ryback went off track there, and Christopher Yi passed Chess. It looks like Chess might have put it into the wall here. We're going to have to take a look at this. So this is, we're on board here with Ryback. There's Ryback behind Guyton, and behind Ryback is Yi. Chess is out of the picture, so we're going to see if we can't take a look at what's going on here. But Jason Chess, something happened to him here. What do we got going on?
I think something may have also...
Oh, self-inflicted. Just lost it.
Yeah,
hey, Ron, this is exactly what I was talking about. I watched Yi, and Yi was a consistent driver, and I said that Chess might have been cooking those tires, and that was it right there. Yi moves on, Chess makes the mistake.
Yeah, unfortunate to see him go off the track. Very easy mistake to make, to be sure. When F1 returned here back in 2015, Sebastian Vettel had multiple incidents through there in his first year at Ferrari. So it's an easy turn to go off at, and unfortunately there, Chess being the latest victim of it. That's a shame. He was putting together a strong drive, but a top 5 is a result that he will not get here. I gotta say, something bad must have also gone down to Jacob Guyton. Either that car has been refueled with milk, or he's had some sort of off-track excursion, because that gap between he and Damien Dietrich has ballooned out to 10.5 seconds, and that gap that was, over 3 seconds between himself and P3 has gone down to 1.5 seconds. Now, granted, with about a half a lap left to go here in this race, a white flag coming out this time around, basically needs a bodily temperature roughly in the 90s to hold on to P2, but we've seen drivers drop out before.
Absolutely. So we're going to go on board here with our leader, Damien Dietrich, and he has, in fact, walked away with this. This is the definition of what happens when you walk away with a race. We barely talked about him. It was a clean race. It was fantastic. He might have had 0 incidents. I'm not sure. You'll have to check in on that, but that'll get him a whole heck of a lot of points for this one. And there it is. This is the final corner. Don't put it into the wall, friend. And you come around the start-finish line, and it is going to be a win. It looks like 2, 3, and 4 all are going to have a comfortable run, barring anything major here. And Jacob Guyton, with a fantastic finish here, is going to get onto the podium in 2nd place, followed by Henry Ryback, and Christopher Yee managed to put some more points on the board for his team. 4th place, J.R. Gregory. Look at this, 5th place. We barely mentioned him in some sort of racing capacity. It was all about his livery, but man, he managed to just work his way through the field. Unfortunately, Jason Chess was 6th place there due to a spin out in turn 10, I believe it was. Stasinski works his way back up the field to get 7th. Navas Molina in 8th. Ketteneni comes in over the line at 9th. Hunter in 10th. It looks like Glasser is going to come in at 11th. And I believe Wynn, Park, Hagen, and E-Step are going to round out your field there as they work their way around. But what a race tonight from Damien Dietrich, Ron. I mean, just textbook, front to finish, just took off, and that was it.
Yeah, he ran away with things, took that race lead right off the bat, and never really looked back. I had a feeling it was going to be a Damien Dietrich night after that pace in qualifying. He also set the fastest time in practice by a pretty healthy margin as well. It was over 2/10 the gap in practice between himself and Jose Navas, TP and a Wigwam, 2/10. But yeah, it was just a fantastic night all around from Damien Dietrich. Gets the fastest time in practice, gets the pole, gets the win by what really felt like a country mile when it was all done with. Dietrich, what a drive for him. That's his first win here in this SRG F4 championship. I know the German is going to be quite happy with that performance, and he has every right to. What a drive.
Absolutely. I love his livery with the dog on it. Everything's on fire. It's like, this is fine. Everything's fine. And that was really the story of his race. In classic fashion, we're going to line up for some donuts here. There is your podium right there. We have Dietrich, Guyton, and Ryback as your top 3. Great showing, honestly, for SRG coming out. Let's see a few donuts out of you, Mr. German. There we go. Drop that clutch. There it is. Oh, maybe not. Right into the wall. Just a great race, and SRG was really looking for a good performance out of their racers coming out of that first race in Miami. So I would say that this is exactly what they wanted. Tough racing. There was a lot of corners side by side without incident. Couple off tracks, maybe 1 or 2 things for the steward to look at, but all in all, a really good performance, Ron. I was pretty impressed tonight.
Yeah, I was as well. Those drivers put on a very good race here at Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. I'll be honest and say that I didn't really know exactly what was going to be in store here for this race, whether it was going to be draft heavy, whether it was going to be spread out. We kind of saw like a Formula V race on steroids in an odd way. It was very entertaining, though, gotta say. It's been a pretty challenging start for these drivers to get season number 3 of 2026 here for the Sim Racers Group F4 Championship up rock rocking and rolling. But now with the 6th of this season already in the rearview mirror, the drivers can maybe rest a little bit easily heading off into the upcoming 2 weeks, because we may be heading off into some more known quantities of racetracks after what has been a bit of a venture off into the unknown to get this season up and rolling.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think that the beginning of the season scared a lot of people. Miami was a hell of a draw for the first race, let me tell you. And unfortunately, I don't know whether or not they were up to the task, but they had a strong comeback here tonight with Mexico City. Going to Road Atlanta next will be interesting. You know, there's the fun thing about an F4 league is that there's a combination of big tracks like this, where your lap times are, 1:45s, to some very, very small go-kart almost tracks where an F4, can make their way around there in some very tight circumstances. So you have to be good at a little bit of everything. It's this Suzuka, Motegi, Winton type of stuff where you're just you're all over the globe, and you're doing a lot of tracks that are very, very different from each other, because that F4 is really capable of doing some of that stuff. You're capable of going to the big ones and also maneuvering around the small ones, just simply because of the lack of power. I think we're going to get some interviews in here. I don't know if anyone is in the booth quite yet in the waiting room, but we'll have the producer grab somebody. Ron, do you want to take the first one, or would you like me to take the first one here?
I shall take the first. I shall save. Actually, you know what? I will bring our race winner in to have a chat with you. That sound like a plan, James?
That sounds fantastic.
Alrighty, I shall drag in our race winner, that being Damian Dietrich. Gentlemen, the floor is all yours, guys.
Damian Dietrich, you are the winner of Mexico City. And you won this thing walking away. You took it right off the wire here, and you went to the end and pretty much walked away due to a lot of fighting behind you, but you ran an incredible race. How do you feel right now?
Amazing. Yeah, I practiced a lot. I did not expect that. Like coming from AI races, and I did some officials yesterday. People are fast, I could keep my pace today, and yeah, it was awesome. I was pretty lucky that people were fighting behind me, so I was like, oh my god, I don't want to fight.
Well, you didn't have to. Really, what happened was Chess and Guyton got into it pretty much on turn one, and it allowed you to get a little bit of fresh air, and they were side by side for probably the first half of the race, which allowed you to pull out to about 7 seconds, and then 7 became 10, and 10 became 12, and pretty soon we had to remind ourselves to cut the camera feed back to you because we forgot you were still out there. What kind of practice do you do in getting ready for a race like this?
So I'm trying to still try to find my groove. Right now I'm trying to find my pace. And then, corner by corner. And this time, it was the first time I did AI races and just looked where can I overtake people, where should I be careful not to. In the end, I didn't need it, but yeah, it was pretty funny. Like my pace got like better and then worse and then better and then worse again. But I ended up in a good pace in the end.
Well, that is fantastic. You had a tremendous race. Do you have any shout outs to any of your sponsors or friends or anything? Anybody you want to say hi to right now?
Yeah, definitely the SRG team. This is my first time racing from home, and that was probably a big impact on my racecraft today. So yeah, I miss you guys. It's kind of weird to sit at home, not having Ken and Andres on my side. So, but yeah, apparently it works. Who would have thought that the stuff you're practicing with in the end is the best you can do.
That's fantastic. Well, congratulations. Definitely deserved win. I mean, it was just a spectacular race out of you. So we hope you can take this into Road Atlanta, and thanks a lot for coming out and racing tonight.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
No problem. All right. So who do we have next here? Let's pull in Mr. Stasinski. You have a relationship with Mr. Stasinski, Ron. Why don't you have a talk with him there?
Yeah, that I do. Brian Stasinski going to join us now in the broadcast booth. Brian, welcome in. Usually, I'm used to having a chat with you after the Formula V races on Saturday afternoons here on SMB, but having a chat with you after a pretty wild F4 race for you here at Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. How's it been getting used to that F4 car?
It's been a handful, but it's been fun. I think the V runoffs got me going, driving the SR8 and having downforce. That was a lot of fun. So I had watched a bunch of these races on SMB and put in an inquiry about how to join, because they don't they call it a non-recruiting league, I guess I found out later. And it's a great community. I found out it's a thing that got me is it's well regulated, like we kind of have in Weekend Warriors, to keep the riffraff down, even though I was definitely a riffraff last week. So yeah, definitely got some hammers knocking me down over that. But yeah, I put an inquiry out last Tuesday and got everything sorted out, and then found out that I needed to get these 2 tracks, Miami and Mexico, and also learn how to drive the car. That was, came home from work, got in the car, and did a little bit of practice, and then got in it and was kind of overwhelmed. That's not a good track. That Miami track is not a good track to start at with like 9 cars shuffled around and trying to get through the streets. This one was a little bit better. I think I know a lot of the tracks coming up, and it should be more like this one, more spread out and focus on racing few guys around you instead of a big pack and walls. So yeah, no, can't say enough about the community. I'm really happy I looked into it. I found a new thing to do with downforce on top of the V's.
Yeah, of course, we'll probably be seeing you out there on the racetrack for the Formula V race in the Weekend Warriors Summer Shootout Series this upcoming Sunday here on SMB. But I do want to ask you about the upcoming season calendar that we have here in this season of the SRG F4 series. I'm looking through, and obviously I talked about it a little bit during the broadcast, and I've gotten to learn as time has rolled along, kind of you and the whole family's involvement in the SCCA over the years, of course, with your dad Bill being a longtime Formula V racer, you getting Formula V experience yourself, Dan getting to drive an FV occasionally. I'm looking at this calendar: Road Atlanta, Lime Rock, Watkins Glen, VIR, Summit Points. Certainly Road America is a track that you've been to before, that is a certain. But are there any other tracks on this season calendar that you've gotten the opportunity to drive at in real life?
Mid-Ohio is on there. Yeah, I was excited about it when I joined, got the schedule, and it was the North American series, and I was definitely excited about it because it seems a lot of the same tracks over and over in Formula V, Weekend Warriors. So coming over here, a bunch of great tracks, the best North America has to offer, and you could drive Road Atlanta or Mid-Ohio and Road America all the time, and I get to experience it in a new car. But then on top of that, all the new tracks. Portland's on there. We'll go learn Portland, and yeah, it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you out there on the racetrack here in these F4s. A V driver finally learning what downforce is. But Brian, before we let you go and celebrate this run, we'll let you give any thank yous or shout outs.
Thank you, Stevie Ray, for vouching for me to get into this league. and then embarrassing myself last week. Yeah, thanks for that. Hope to earn my credibility back through this season and the rest of the year. But yeah, thanks everybody in SRG for having me here. This is great. Thanks SMB for your wonderful broadcast as always. Thanks Dan and family for watching at home.
And there you go, Brian. I will say one thing about last week. First impressions can sometimes be overridden. I think the first time we ever interacted was the time that I accidentally mixed you and Brian Belansky up. So I said that you were the host of the Inside the SCCA podcast. That was early on in my days in the Right U Sports Tuesday night show. I was still 19 when I did that. So, how the times have changed. But Brian, thanks for joining us, and hope to see you out there on the racetrack for the V show on Sunday.
Yeah, we're all grown up now. I just turned 40-something for the second time, so.
Yeah,
cheers.
I may be only a few years out of the cart, but I have the back of an 85-year-old man. Brian, thanks for joining us. We'll see you this Sunday.
Oh, that's good stuff. I think we have Henry Ryback is in the waiting room, and let's pull him in and say hello to Mr. Ryback. Henry Ryback.
Oh, hello.
You managed to find your way into the podium of this particular race. You had a bit of an incident here in the first lap or two with Mr. Stasinski, whom we just spoke with. But other than that, once you found your sea legs, you managed to pull off a pretty great race. How did it feel out there?
It felt great. Did I do something with Stasinski?
I believe it was you. We're gonna have to watch the film on this. I'm not entirely sure. I thought it was a gold.
Yes, because I just
think
looked at the
that was
replay
Hunter.
and because Jose, he spun out right in front of me, and I've been looking at all different types of camera angles and stuff, and I am not actually sure if I touched him or if he spun out on a curb or if it was neck coat or something. I don't really know because I didn't feel anything.
Pardon me. Yes, you're right. It was not the Stasinski incident. There was an incident with Jose Navas Molina, but that'll be something that the stewards have to take a peek at. We're actually looking at it now on the screen, and it is close. But I think maybe you might have clipped him there. But regardless, tough racing out there. Were the track conditions something that you felt like you were able to hold on to pretty well?
Yes, I think so. I think for me at least, it suited me pretty well. And also, if I did hit Jose, I'm really sorry. Yeah.
I mean, that's racing, isn't it, Henry? Like just the millimeters of coming around a curve like that. You both were pushing incredibly hard. What did you think was the toughest part about this particular course for you today?
Probably the breaking point before that little section with the double right-hander, and right after that the S's, I think. But I practiced the S's really much, so that wasn't that big of a problem for me. But I saw that Jason Chess had a little bit of a problem, and that relieved me so much. I know he's so quick, and I just knew that had secured my podium place. So that last lap was like heaven for me.
Absolutely. I mean, you had a front row seat to a lot of the battles with Chess and Guyton. You didn't really get to see Dietrich; he was long gone out of the picture. But Chess and Guyton were in front of you for a lot of the race and just burning up those tires, and you managed to make your way around the track pretty safely for the vast majority of the race, which put you in a great spot. When did you think you had it clear here for a podium? Was it just when Chess went off, or did you think you might have had a shot earlier to make a move?
Yeah, no, I thought I was pretty doomed before he spun, to be honest, because he was catching up to me. It was a little bit of time where I was like a second ahead of him, but then it went down to 0.7, 0.5, and I was like, oh no, I have to defend soon. But then he spun. So, and again, I just got so relieved.
Well, we're looking at the fantastic livery that you have on the side with the no cap soda pop. Just a great race, and congratulations on the podium for you. Do you have any shout outs or thank yous you want to send off before we let you go?
Yes, I want to shout out my friend and classmate Matthew Hunter for his debut. He was the one who recommended me to join SRG, and he was the one who's like, "All right, I'll forward you an email to Jason Cotcher." I was like, "All right." So a big thank you and a shout out to him.
That's fantastic, and all in all, SRG had a great night. It was a great turn of events from Miami to have a race like this that was tight in the corners without too many incidents, and had great finishes like yourself in third place here. So enjoy the champagne, and thanks for coming out and racing tonight.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
All right, so that was our third place finisher there. Ron, just very a very good race tonight. I think that the SRG League can be pretty happy. Did any of the interviews tell you something that you weren't expecting?
Well, I will say, and this is honest, I did not think that Brian was over the age of 40. I'll be honest, but no, honestly, from what I learned from those interviews is that these drivers, I think in an odd way, enjoyed this race here at Mexico City. Now, I'm not sure whether that's a little bit of like Stockholm syndrome setting in, but I think these drivers have enjoyed being tested at the start of this campaign. This is a developmental series. These drivers learning the ropes on iRacing still. Of course, in the Sim Racers Group world, they start off in the FF 1600s, those old Formula Fords, my beloved from the weekend Warriors, been covering them for many moons now. And then they move off into the F4s, and then they make the final step up into the F3s. It is a little ladder that we've got in the Sim Racers Group world. So I think these drivers do enjoy being tested. Whenever I get the opportunity to interview a driver after a really challenging race, I usually ask them, hey, did you enjoy being tested that much? And a lot of them really do. Maybe it's just me having, the sensibilities of an old man, only wanting to do the stuff that I want to do more often than not. But I always find it a little bit interesting when the drivers enjoy having a real challenge on their hands. So we'll have to see what their thoughts are at Road Atlanta next time out, where I think the challenge and the test not really going to be the track, more so the other drivers kind of testing each other's patience.
Yeah, I think that there's just a sense of relief coming out of these. I was participating in this particular F4 league last year, and when you're done with these 20-minute just boiler room races, you are relieved. And so if you manage to pull off a podium, and hopefully didn't get it at the expense of somebody else that you took a corner out on, then it's a pretty great feeling to be done, even though it was incredibly stressful. I will not lie, like actual physical pouring with sweat type of races I've had in here, particularly against guys like David Borden and Nathan Perkins, Guyton, Novice Molina, guys like that. If you have a guy in your rearview mirror for the entire race, it's pretty tough. Josh, let's take a look at what we have coming up here on the Slow Motion Broadcasting Network. We have got Wednesday, 24th is tomorrow, and that is going to be the F3 League with the Red Bull Ring with brand new curbing, Ron. The Red Bull Ring has got some, I don't know, they got to be like 3-foot tall curbs, it feels like. You can get your F3 on the top of that, and you will never leave it until you're off of the end of it, like a skateboard. Watkins Glen is going to be where the street nights are going to be on the 25th. On the 30th, we have the F4s. This league is coming back to Road Atlanta. That'll be a good one for them. And then the F3s go to Silverstone. Silverstone, a flat wasteland of straights and corners. One of my least favorite tracks, honestly, and I thought it would be my favorite. The American Muscle Series goes to Sandown. That's going to be Tuesday, July 7th. And also on July 7th is going to be the F4s visiting Lime Rock. That's exactly what I was talking about earlier, where you get the big ones like this one, and then you go to Lime Rock. Little tiny courses. It'll be a great time. The F3s go to Mugello, the Grand Prix there. And Tuesday, the 14th, the F4s are going to Interlagos, which is a great course. Thank you so very, very much for watching the slow motion broadcast production of the Sim Racers Group F4 League. Ron, do you have any final thoughts before I wrap this up?
Whenever you go out in public, make sure you're wearing a pair of pants.
This is words of advice from the legend Racing Ron Maunz. That's why he's the legend. We have Josh Wilkie in the truck. Thank you so much, Josh, for all your hard work and putting together the slow motion broadcasting production of the Sim Racers Group F4 Intermediate League. I am James McDonald, and I wish you happy hairpins and clear straights.